Hello. Hi, everyone. Lovely to see you all. Just to double check that you can hear me and just to see who's here, could you please just type in the box your name and just a brief introduction? That'd be lovely. Okay, so I'm going to get started. Lovely to see you here at 7 o'clock. I hope you have your PDFs printed out. If not, not to worry, just a pad and paper will be fantastic. Yeah, so this webinar is called 7 Steps to Creating the Greatest Version of You, which is a workshop that I've been running with my sister. Before that, I just wanted to tell you my story and introduce myself. So my name is Daniela Bleckner, and I'm going to be really honest with you. This is my story, and this is how what I'm doing came about. So I thought I was a woman who knew myself. I was brought up to be strong, tough, and independent. I learnt from a very young age to put others before myself, and in doing so, I lost myself in the journey to adulthood. I dated the wrong people, and I know I'm not the only one. I was attracted to men who would love me and leave me. I was attracted to men who would leave me emotionally wounded. I was attracted to the mysterious James Bond type, often broken men, unavailable men, emotionally unavailable men who deep down, I could never give me what I wanted. I always felt ashamed to talk about my love life, and always felt ashamed to, talk about the failure in the love department, until one day I just decided in 2012 to claim my story in order to empower others, and in doing so, empower myself. So in 2012, I put my hand up and I admitted to having a decade of dating disasters. I was an self-confessed Mr. Wrong magnet. Can I just check? Can you see this slide? Can you see the slideshow? Okay. Right, brilliant. Sorry about that. So I'm an self-confessed Mr. Wrong magnet. That wasn't great. Looking behind the deeper reason behind this is I'm a natural healer and nurturer, and I realized that I'm someone who'd spent so much time dating and coaching men to be the greatest version of themselves and in that process, I forgot my own worth and value. I realized that in life, if we keep on attracting the same type of people, the same situations, and the same circumstances into our lives, then the journey must start within. As Einstein says, insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. I found this quite empowering, and I decided to start a journey that allowed me to examine, question, and challenge some of my own belief systems about love, relationships, and most importantly, myself. I forgot how valuable and wonderful I was. I'd forgotten to honor my own worth and value, and I'd forgotten my own values, needs, wants, and desires, as I had placed all of my worth and value in them. I learned that we should not be validated by someone else's opinion of us. We are perfectly equipped to validate ourselves. I realized that if I wanted to attract positive things into my life, I must work on being the greatest version of me. And the first step to that is to realize that we are great already, that we are wonderfully and perfectly made and works in progress. The first step is to recognize that love is loving an imperfect person perfectly, and that love starts with us. And that means embracing all of our flaws, all of our imperfections. I learned to unlearn all the negative belief systems I had been conditioned to believe about myself. So, in doing so, I decided I wanted to share my story, and I was going to write about it. I set up a blog in 2012. I didn't even know what a blog was. I hadn't heard of a blog. I had no clue. I set one up, and I realized that through sharing my story, that I wasn't alone, and that there were lots of women who were feeling the same way as me, the same women who were attracting the same sort of man and wanted to start unlearning this negative patterns and working out exactly what was going on. I then started becoming inundated with stories I put out a plea on my blog asking for stories from women who have attracted Mr. Wrong characters or not had a great time in the love department. and I was inundated with stories from women from America, Australia, England, Wales, Canada, all over the world. And as the stories started to come in, I started to notice common themes. Women forgetting who they were, women who put others before themselves, women who forgot their own worth and value. And in doing so, forgot their own values, their own needs, and again, their own wants and desires were way out of the window. So I decided I was going to put together a book, and I did that. I put together a book, and the book was called Mr. Wrong. It took 2 years to write and put together and eventually self-publish. And I set up a Facebook page, and it became quite popular. I had 11,000 followers. I had over 50 stories, and I eventually published a book, which then became a bestseller on the day of publishing on Amazon, which was fantastic. I then put together a Mr. Wrong workbook, which you'll see here. And the workbook was not so much about, it's not about coaching women about how to date, because that's not what I'm about. I'm about learning from our mistakes, looking at our patterns and looking at the circumstances and situations we found ourselves in, and looking at it from an empowering state and saying, right, well, what was my part to play? What have I enabled and what have I allowed? What can I discover about the inner me, and how can I improve myself rather than looking at everyone else as an issue or a problem or the object of your problem? From there, I then started I put together a workshop called 7 Steps to Creating the Greatest Version of You, which is all about being empowered. And from that, I started running self-esteem workshops, which I do with young, vulnerable children, young girls, and also the parents. Oh. I'm just going to double check. Can everyone still hear me? So 7 Steps to Creating the Greatest Version of You is all about uniting, inspiring, and empowering other women. Too often we seek out externally for answers. We look for permission to be our amazing, authentic selves, permission to achieve our dreams, permission to be happy, when already the answers and the power is already within. So the very first workshop started in May. There's been another one in July, and there's another one due on the 10th of October, which I'll get into a bit later on in the webinar. But just first to go through a couple of testimonials here. So the workshop is a group workshop with 12 women. And in this workshop is quite an intimate space, and we do group and individual exercises. We go through the 7 steps, and at the end of it, we create a vision board, and we walk away with our own vision boards. And the energy in the room is absolutely fantastic. Lots of people have written very positive things about it. And I'm just going to show you a couple of pictures. The workshop, again, it is not about a specific area. It's not about finding a man. It's not about relationships. It's about clearing old energy, creating a crystal clear vision for our own lives, and being empowered in being able to do that and tapping into our own inner power. This is a lovely young lady called Simone who did the workshop in July, who actually I think is online now. She's written a lovely testimonial here talking about the techniques that are used. And the thing about this workshop is today you've got a mini PDF, you've got a mini workbook, but if you do the workshop, you actually have the entire workbook, which you can use. We go through some of the exercises within the workshop because there's so much there. It's a great tool to use, to take away and use at home. Brilliant. I'm just going. Can I check that we can all see the screen with the testimonials? Amazing, brilliant. Can I check that you can see the screen with the testimonials? No? Okay, just bear with me. Can we see now? Oh, amazing, brilliant. We can see. Bear with me. This is the first time I'm doing a webinar, and I know that there was a bit of a time delay on this as well, but I'm hoping that you can see a small screen. It says testimonials, and this testimonial is written by a lovely girl called Simone, who did the July webinar. Amazing. So I'll just read some of it just to double check that you've got this. The workshop was intimate, amazing to be frank. It was engaging, everyone interacted and was friendly. It was fun. Can we see that one? The workshop takes place at the Evolve Wellness Centre in South Kensington, which is a beautiful, beautiful place. A very intimate, very nice, relaxing space. And here you'll be able to see the reception with two of the ladies who took part of the May workshop with their vision boards. Okay, I'm not quite sure why it's not coming up full screen. Okay. I'm being told it's not full screen. Could you confirm if it's full screen? Okay, perfect. I'm much better in person, honestly. Okay. One of the great things here, testimonials I got, was from a relationship coach called Maeve. She's a relationship healer and educator. She also reads one of the forgiveness exercises, which we'll talk about a bit later on. But she actually wrote a blog post about the workshop, which was fantastic. So this is just a part of it here. She says, I felt a new sense of motivation and inspiration about my life purpose and tapped into a new belief about making things happen as I contemplated my intentions and what actions I was going to take to improve my life and step into my greatest version of myself. And from this workshop, we practiced EFT, which we're not going to do. That's something specifically used at the workshop. It's called positive EFT. EFT stands for emotional freedom tapping. And that was one of the techniques that most of the women came away and said really, really worked for them. Not only does it work on physical pain, but it works on just creating positive energy within your body and getting rid of stagnated energy. And she said, while she was doing the round of tapping, which we do in a group, she managed to tap into a limiting belief system about her own self-belief, and from that, through using the EFT and through using the intentions and through looking at her values again, she has started her very own relationship workshop, which is fantastic. And that came about through doing the 7 steps workshop with myself, which is a great testimony to her and also to the workshop, which is fantastic. Okay, so looking deeper into the workshop, who's this workshop for and what problems does it address? Quite a lot of women come to the workshop with unfulfilled goals. And this could be a result of not having the time, having a lack of support, and most of all, a lack of belief. Lack of belief seems to be one of the most common problems. And again, unguarded thought processes. One of my favorite quotes here is a Buddha quote is, your worst enemy cannot harm you as much as your own unguarded thoughts. So the unfulfilled goals is that as we get older, there's so many things that kind of present themselves as an obstacle or a block. We might have dreams and goals and ambitions and things that we want to do, and life does get in the way. And again, that could be a lack of time, it could be a lack of support, again, lack of belief system, lack of belief, but also looking at your thought processes. Negative thought processes often block ourselves. So some of the exercises are about tapping into those thought processes and tapping into those belief systems and just freeing up our energy to really start to become empowered and to start believing in ourselves and to start creating a crystal clear vision for our futures and purpose. So solutions. The acronym for the 7 steps to creating the greatest version of you, which is a mouthful, is W, which is what are my values? I'll run through each of these steps individually, but I'll just talk about them very generally here. So values, I found, was one of the most important things here. Often we forget our own values, and what is important to us as life sometimes does tend to get in the way. O stands for own your needs, wants and desires. What is it that you need? What is it that you want? And what is it that you desire? What are the differences? And how are those needs, wants and desires being met in your life? M stands for manifest my intentions. So manifest is about bringing about these things through our words and through our actions. And that's being aware of our intentions. E is for exercise forgiveness. I'm going to talk about this in greater detail when we get to this step, but I found that forgiveness is one of the most important tools in anything, in everything. And I really do believe it is the key to life and the key to moving forward. Somebody's saying that here you're still on the testimonial slide. I'm going to go back to the chat and just double check. Can you see the acronym on the solutions page? Okay, the step 5, sorry, is nightly gratitude. Step 6 is about reawakening my vision. And step 7, which is my favorite, is love, life, and laugh. Okay, what I want you to do is to turn to your PDFs, your books, if you have them. And I think it's on page 2. Step 1 is, what are my values? On the first page, there should be a table of values. And this exercise is about looking at these. There's quite a lot of them there, so have a look. I found this quite tough actually because there's so many. Look at your values and star the ones that, the best way to do it is star the ones that you think are really important to you, and then you can whittle them down. So I do 1 star next to the ones that are important to me, and then sharpen it down and do 2 stars next to the ones that are really, really important. So think about what your values are from 1 to 10. As you write down the values, I want you to think about where you need and want to experience more of this value in your life, but also how you can demonstrate it more. So I'm going to give you about 4 minutes on this exercise. go. Okay, I'm still here, so just going to give you one more minute on this because I know that this exercise requires some thought. So the purpose of this exercise was to look at some of these values, and if you don't have the workbook to hand, I'm just going to read some of them out here just so you can get an idea of what values are on this table here. So we've got acceptance, belonging, clarity, excellence, excitement, health, integrity, happiness, love, loyalty, kindness, playfulness, meaning, persistence, reverence, stability, spirituality, thankfulness, thoroughness, wisdom, wonder. These are just a few. So there's a whole table. We could be here all day. But if you've only filled in a few, that's okay. It just means it just needs to take a bit more time to work on this. But obviously we're on a time constraint. And if you were in doing the workshop, we get to do this in a bit more detail. But the purpose of this exercise is to go back to the core, very fundamental values of who we are. And values are the things that we deem most important in terms of our lives and how we live our lives. And often life does get in the way, life can get in the way, and we can get swept away with other people's values and other people's ideas of what is important, and we often tend to forget our own. So doing this exercise just brings us back to the fundamentals of who we are, what makes us who we are. This exercise was great for me because it really felt like a bit of a homecoming, coming home. So for me, I had number one as integrity. For me, being really true to myself and being authentic and being straight up and standing by what I believe is really, really important to me. And anything that is out of alignment with that, I find myself being out of alignment with myself. My second one is love, and my third is meaning. In terms of love, love for me was very, very high up on the ladder, because love just isn't about, we often think love is about a partnership or it has to be romantic, but love actually brings us back to the fundamental love of who we are, loving ourselves, loving the world that we live in. And if we're spiritual or we're religious, loving God. And this to me is very important. So different people have different things. Humor was very high up on the list as well. And again, the whole point of this exercise is just remembering who we are, remembering what's important to us. Not only that, but remembering why it's important to us. Taking this exercise a bit further, I found it a really good idea to look at how these values show up in our lives. Not just how they show up in our lives, but how we demonstrate these values in our lives. So in the actual workbook, you have a table, and the table, for example, would have the value. And one of the examples could be respect. So how do I demonstrate this value? This is an example. So somebody could say, I show respect to my colleagues and friends by listening to their ideas, values, and opinions. But yet this person still may not feel respected in their life. So, okay, I believe that everything we put out is reflected back to us. Everything that comes to us is a mirror in terms of what it is that we're putting out there. And often I feel that we do forget this. So I created another column, which is how can I demonstrate this more? So an example is you could be showing respect towards your work colleagues, but is that respect being reflected by yourself in your home, for example? So this could be, how could I demo this more? I can respect my children more by listening to their feelings. I could also take time to listen to my partner, as hard as that can be sometimes. And the third column is, how would having more of this value make you feel? So again, I wanted to connect the values to the feelings. So I put here, feeling respected makes me feel validated, listened to, and accepted. And these values are very, very high up on my list as well. So it just looks at the fundamental roots of who we are and what we deem to be worthy. And as we deem our values to be worthy, we must also remember our own worth and value. So that's values in a very small bite size. in the workshop, we actually use positive EFT and tap on these values, which is, I cannot stress, if you don't know about EFT, do the 7 steps workshop or research it. Is absolutely amazing. It's completely changed my outlook and changed my own energy and changed, you know, my outlook to life. It's absolutely fantastic. So that's EFT, emotional freedom tapping. Okay, I'm going to move on to step 2. So step 2 is own my needs, wants and desires. So this should be on the next page of your PDF. If you don't have your PDF, that's not a problem at all. If you've joined us on Google Hangouts, you wouldn't have been sent one. And this is for those who registered via the webinar or webinars on air. So if you don't have it, that's fine. You can use a pad and paper because I've written it down here anyway. So the first step is really differentiating between needs, wants and desires. They're 3 very different things. So a need is an essential I can't say this word, it's an essential prerequisite or vital necessity needed in order to survive a situation. So it's an essential or vital necessity needed in order to survive a situation. So another example is, if you can look at this in any aspect of your life. It can be love, it can be a work atmosphere, it could be family, it could be health. So a need could be to have good health. A need in a relationship can be needing to feel respected. A need in the workplace could be you need to be in a place where you can grow, or your opinions are respected, or you feel listened to. A want is something we would like to have, but we can survive without. So a want is something we would like to have, but can survive without. That's not to say wants are not important, because they are very important. Now, desires is something that I look on as add-ons. But again, I sometimes think as women, we tend to shelve our needs, wants, but especially our desires. These are often things that are brushed under the carpet. So desires are a strong wish or yearning for something, and I've put here, often unvoiced. So I'll give you an example. A desire for me is I would like to have a man who likes to rub my feet and give me a back massage. But, you know, it's still a desire, and it's still something that I will stay true to, and still something that I respect, and I understand that's a desire for me, and it's important. But I can live without it. If I end up with a guy who doesn't like feet, that's absolutely fine. It's a desire. It's something that I would really like as an add-on. But again, needs and wants are something that I would say are very important. So in the 7 steps, we look at what the difference between needs, wants and desires, and what they are in a relationship. And I've got my own, I do all these exercises myself. So I've written out my own needs, wants and desires, and I find it really good. I wrote mine a year ago, and I updated them actually when I did the first workshop in May, and I found that actually they changed. Not because I had changed drastically, but I think where I was in my life had changed, and what my needs and what my wants were becoming really clear as I started to align myself with what my values were. I just found that it gave me a really clear, crystal clear sense of self. These are not to say that these are unbending and these are expectations. I need a man who can do this. I need a workplace that does that. It's about being aware of who we are and what our needs, wants and desires are, and just making sure that we play a part in staying true to that, because it's often, again, something that can tend to be shelved. So step 3 is manifest my intentions. I'm going to read something from, this is my workbook here, so I'm going to read a little bit about manifesting my intentions from the workshop. So now that you've established your needs, wants and desires, let's begin setting your intentions. Each of us has so many good intentions, hopes and dreams for our lives, yet sometimes it seems nearly impossible to attain them. We spend so much time focusing on our problems and obstacles that we forget to leave room for that which we desire and intend for our lives. We lose sight of our values, and our hope wanes as we become distracted with day-to-day problems. Intentions are crucial if we choose to walk in our purpose and live the life we want. So The needs, wants, and desires exercise helps you to identify your needs, wants, and desires. And now these must be affirmed in daily practice. I just want to talk briefly about the power of our voice. Voice is spoken about across many religions. The words that we speak have so much power. The words that we speak carry energy. The thoughts that we think carry energy. Even though we think they're just thoughts in our minds and it doesn't mean anything, they actually carry energy, and they actually attract back the things that what we think actually is reflected back to us. The way we speak to others, the way that we speak to ourselves. How many times do we talk to ourselves in such a negative way? And we don't even realize we think millions of thoughts a day. How many times do you make a mistake and beat yourself up over it? Oh, I'm unworthy and silly me. Why have I done that? And I realized that subconsciously we all do these things. We all berate ourselves. We all batter ourselves when things don't go right. And again, this goes back to loving ourselves perfectly as imperfect people. The power of our voice carries energy. The sound carries energy. Our voice has vibrations that carry energy. So not only is it important to write down our intentions, I believe it's important to live our intentions, to speak our intentions. What we speak can begin to manifest when we start to believe them. And the more we speak them, the more they become part of our psyche, part of our energy, part of the world around us. So I just want to read out some of my intentions. I have a wall full of intentions, actually. And I think a tip for writing intentions is to keep them short. You don't want to have long paragraphs of things. You want things that you can easily memorize, things that have create a rhythm to them. If you want to sing them, you can sing them. I have actions with some of mine, so when I hear them, it's like I'm locked into them. So here's some of my examples. I attract an abundance of love, peace, harmony, wealth, joy, and happiness. I attract an abundance of love, peace, harmony, wealth, joy, and happiness. Whenever I hear this now, it's so ingrained in my spirit that it has it's real to me. It has a vibration. It has an energy that I connect with now. So the more that you say them, the more that you intend them, the more that you speak them, the more they become part of your life. Another one is I'm full of energy, vibrancy, and good health. My favorite one here is I'm open to receiving love. This intention is so short, but actually is one of my favorite. I actually have an action to go with it as well, which I'm not going to do. Luckily, you can't see me. But I'm open to receiving love is really, really important to me, because sometimes it's easy to give out all the time, to give our love, to give our attention, to invest our energy, to give out our power, that we actually can physically or energetically block ourselves from receiving love back. We may give out love all the time and then become so strong and independent that we find ourselves alone when we're suffering, or when we're struggling, or when we need love, or when we need to be loved or looked after, because everybody always expects you to be okay. So I think it's really, really important to look at our belief systems about love, and really, really important to look at ourselves and if we're blocking that love from coming to us. So I'm open to receiving love is a very important one to me. Another one is just appreciating the world around us. The world can be a beautiful place. The world can also be a very destructive. In fact, it's not the world that is a destructive place. It's the actions of the people within it. So if we can be part of that positive movement, that positive change, the world will become a more beautiful place to you. So one of my affirmations is the world is a beautiful place and I'm exploring it all with excitement. In your books, you should have some squares. Oh, sorry. On those squares, which act as post-it notes, I want you to write down some of your intentions. Now, they can be in any facet of your life. They can be to do with health. They can be to do with wealth. They can be to do with the work situation, your career, to do with love, relationships, family, whatever they are. I want you just for a second or just for a minute to close your eyes, take a deep breath, and really think about what it is that you intend for your life. It doesn't matter if it seems so far-fetched, it doesn't matter. This is about being brave and about voicing what our intentions are and putting that out there into the universe with the absolute belief that these things will manifest. So I just want you to take a few minutes now just to write down on your PDFs or on a pad, it doesn't matter, write down some of your own intentions. And if you want, and if you feel happy to share, you're very welcome to share them in the chat room. Okay, so I'm just going to give you a few minutes now to do that. Close your eyes, really think about what it is that you intend for your life. What is it that you'd like to see come to fruition? Okay, perfect. We're going to stop there. You have this PDF or you have this exercise now ingrained in your memory, so you can write these down at any point. What I would say is with these intentions, it's really good just to have a special place where you can have these written down. So when you wake up in the morning, or I like to do mine at night time actually, just before I go to bed, is just to look at them and to read them out and do my little dance or do my little movement, or read it in the rhythm that I want to, and really feel like they're part of my life. I also have them recorded, so sometimes if I'm out and about, just to raise my energy, or if I'm especially when I'm on the bus. Buses are amazing. I don't think I'll ever drive because I do all my meditations on the bus. I listen to all the talks and listen to my intentions. It's fantastic. So I listen to me reading the intentions, and as I'm listening to them, it doesn't sound strange that it's my voice. It just really does feel part of my life, and I can't stress how important and how impactful intentions are. Okay, so I just want to talk a little bit about my fantastic sister, Francesca Bleckner. She's a holistic fitness coach and yoga teacher, absolutely brilliant. She does run some of this workshop with me. There's a bonus 1-hour yoga session at the end, and it's not hardcore Ashtanga yoga. I've done that once, and I really did not feel peaceful afterwards. But it's really sort of gentle movement. And what she does is she gets you to refine your focus on the intentions that you've set in the 7 Steps workshop, and you combine that with the movements and breathing as well. She's absolutely fantastic. And again, that's an optional bonus thing you can do for an hour at the end. Okay, so that's my sister. Okay, so step 4 is exercise forgiveness. I can't stress how important forgiveness is. And I'm just going to tell you a little story about something I experienced during one of my forgiveness exercises. I did a healing course about 3 years ago, and I learned a forgiveness exercise. This forgiveness exercise actually is read by someone called Maeve, who you saw earlier on in the testimonial slides. She has got the most soothing, peaceful, beautiful voice. And during the workshop, she actually has come and read this meditation. And during my Mr. Wrong book launch and book tour, she's actually read this meditation to some of the people who took part, and they just the response is phenomenal. It's just amazing. So I had a very, very painful breakup with somebody, and I was walking around a right old mess. I can't even tell you what we didn't talk for about 11 months. I can't even tell you what I did for those 11 months because I was so embroiled in my pain and I was so embroiled in being a victim. And I remember sitting at the bus stop, my neck hurt, my shoulders hurt, my back hurt, my head, everything hurt. But I was numb inside. And I remember sitting looking at this tree, and I'd watched it turn from spring to winter. And I sat at this bus stop every day, looked at this tree, and the thoughts going around in my head were just poisonous. You know, when you just rehearse what you're going to say to that person who's hurt you so much, and when you start thinking about them, your whole body and muscles tense up, and everything just feels, your throat starts to tense up, and your brain's ticking over and over about all these injustices that you endured, and you refine this speech that you're going to say to this person when you see them with such eloquent words, but also so much bitterness behind them. And something said to me, Dan, you've got to stop, because if you don't stop, you're going to become really ill. And I realized then at that point that it was the thoughts that were ticking around in my head that were making me ill. It wasn't that I was physically ill. I was actually completely in control as to my physical health, because my mind was working. I'm in control of my mind. It was my mind that was thinking, and the thoughts that were creating physical pain. And I started to monitor my thoughts, and I started to think, right, okay, is this thought serving me? No, it's not. How many times have I had this thought over the process of 10, 11 months? A million. Is it making you feel any better than it did when you first thought it? No, it's not. It's making me feel worse. You have to stop. All you need to worry about right now is right now. And that is, I'm at the bus stop. All I need to do is think about getting on the bus and going to work and enjoying every single present moment there is in that day. And I listened to that, but I still carried on thinking my thoughts. And I remember on the way home, coming back, getting off at that bus stop, looking at that tree, and something said to me, Dan, go to the park, and you've got to do this forgiveness meditation that you learned. I was having this dialogue inside my head, and it was like, I don't want to. I just don't want to. And I thought, okay, look, I'm going to do it. This feeling's really strong. So I went to the park. My head was killing me. I sat down, and where I sat down was two white feathers either side of me. And for me, white feathers are very personal, beautiful symbol for me. So I sat down next to these white feathers, and I did this meditation. I thought, I have to do it, because either that or I'm going to probably die. So I did this meditation. And I just let this person go. I let them go. Like I sent them off with love. As hard as it was, I did it. And when I finished, I felt so much lighter. I felt very tired, and I went straight to sleep, but I felt so much lighter. But I also wrote down how I wanted to feel with this person. I wrote down the things that had been hurting me, and I released them through writing. And I lit a candle, and I went to bed. Yes, I did blow out the candle before I went to bed. There's been times where I haven't. But anyway, I went to bed, and the next day, after 10 or 11 months, the phone rang, and it was almost as if I knew that the situation was going to happen in a very strange way that I can't even begin to explain to you. But it was this person I was harboring so much bitterness towards. And this person apologized for every single thing that I had felt aggrieved by, and told me what a wonderful person I was. And it was then I realized that was beautiful, but I should have known that already. I should have known that I was lovable and not placed my lovability in somebody else's power. But I felt so peaceful that all I needed to do was to say very little, and all I needed to say was thank you. I appreciate that. So all those long speeches I'd devised for those 11 months meant nothing. It was redundant. That person came back when they knew, energetically knew, that I had I'd stopped holding them to that kind of, and when you hold somebody to so much force with that bitterness, I do believe that energetically that person can feel it, and you stop them from moving on. Not only do you stop them from moving on, you stop yourself from moving on and walking in love. So I learned that I needed to forgive myself. I needed to forgive myself because me and me alone, I had enabled myself to feel that ill and bitter because of what somebody else had done. And I realized that you can't control other people's journeys, you can only control your own. So one of the obviously we do the meditation in the workshop, but one of the exercises in the book is on the next slide. So I'm just going to give you a few minutes on this one. I just want you to think of somebody that you really feel in your heart that you need to forgive. And I want you to, I've got 7 here, but I just want you to write down 2 things here. 2 things that you forgive them for. And when you finish this webinar and in your own space and time, you can complete this exercise and really just close your eyes, think about the things you've written down and really just try and let it go. You will not believe the difference that it makes. Not only does it free you up to allow positive things to come into your spirit, to come into your energy, but you also allow new seeds to plant. If you're growing bitter seeds, you're going to attract more bitterness. But if you get rid of those bitter seeds, you allow more positive things to grow. So yeah, I just want you to take a few minutes just to write down 2 things. Think of a person first of all. Write down 2 things that you forgive them for, even if you haven't done it yet. Okay, we're going to end there. I really want you to, in your own space and time, this is the sort of thing that takes a while actually. So in your own space and time, have a think about the things that you want to forgive this person for. And also think about things that you forgive yourself for. Some of the things that I've written down, I'm sharing with you now. In the actual workbook, there's a section where it says, I forgive myself for, because we often forget to forgive ourselves. So one of the things I've written is, I forgive myself for placing such little value on my own value and values. I forgive myself for abandoning my own needs, wants, and desires. I forgive myself for not honoring myself. I'm not going to read the rest because it gets quite emotional, but for me, having them written down and reading them out and seeing them there makes me feel really empowered, because every single thing that happens in our life is a result of what we enable. One of my favorite quotes here is from Sonia Choquette, also really changed my perspective in life, is, forgive and forget all that has hurt you in the past and made you doubt your own lovability. Realize that hurt and disappointment are inevitable parts of our human learning experience. No matter how painful the real injury was not that someone didn't cherish you, but you erroneously believed that you didn't deserve to be loved. Okay, so step 5 is nightly gratitude. So we've looked at our values, we've looked at needs, wants, and desires. We've looked at manifesting our intentions, speaking what we want into the world. We've looked at exercising forgiveness. Now we're looking at nightly gratitude, because I believe the more that we can be grateful for, the more, it's not about, doing it because we want to reflect positive things back, but there's been times when I felt so down, and I pray every night. And there's some days where I've struggled, but I always try and look for something to be thankful for. And no matter what you go through, there is always something to be thankful for. I'm going to read out very quickly. When I'm feeling down, when I have felt down and I found things very difficult, I'm just trying to find it. I'll go back to that because I can't find it at the moment. So here we go. I'll write down things that I'm thankful for. So here's mine. So, dear God, so you can substitute this for universe, creator, source of all things, whatever you believe to be the blessing behind your existence. So I start with this when I struggle. I am alive. I am so grateful for my health. I have 2 eyes that work, a nose, a mouth. I have a voice, a body that moves when I want it to, 2 feet that can walk, 2 hands that can feel, a heart, a head, and an array of emotions. My body houses my soul, and my soul is deathless, timeless. This is just an experience, and I show you my utmost gratitude for it. It may be hard, it may be tough, but I'm alive. I thank you for giving me the strength of my ancestors who faced struggles and hardships that thankfully I can't even begin to imagine. I'm so wondrously in awe of all that they endured, battled and overcame so that I may stand here today with a voice, a strong mind and power to exercise my rights. I will never be short of water, food, drink or shelter. Whatever I may be suffering, thank you that it is only temporary. I'm looking forward to better days and so much more. So that's my prayer when I'm in the depth of despair. And then through that, I realize how much I have to be grateful for. So part of this exercise here is to think of somebody again who we might feel out of sync with. So if we want to mend relationships with family, friends, work colleagues, think of someone that we might feel out of sync with and just think of 7 things that we can thank them for, no matter how small they can be. Thank you for making me a cup of tea. If we're really struggling, thank you for switching my computer on at work yesterday. There's always something that we can be thankful for. So gratitude is about being appreciative of what we have, and by being appreciating what we do have, we leave room for more positive things to come in. I am conscious of time, so again, this is something that you can do in your own space and time. So nightly gratitude, 7 things that you're thankful for. Okay, so step 6 is reawakening your vision. So it's all about, we've spoken our what we want into the world. We've looked at what we're grateful for, but then we want to create a visual context. So a vision board is a collection of images placed on a board. These are positive things that you want to manifest. Use the affirmations and intentions you have written down, and you can read out these affirmations and intentions as you look at your vision board. Most importantly, it's about the feeling. Imagine how it feels to have these things. What emotions do they bring? Do they bring freedom? Do they bring happiness? Do they bring support? If there are no visual images of you in the media, create them. You don't need to go to magazines. You don't need to go to Google Images. You can draw your own images. You can draw your own symbols that have a perfect special meaning to you. Vision boards to me are really, really, really powerful. And it's something that is one of the favorite aspects of the workshop, actually. And we get to present them at the end. In terms of vision boards, I want to speak to you about my sister, Francesca, who's amazing with vision boards. She is the master of manifesting. Much better than me. I put an engagement ring on mine once, and the next day I went to Costa Coffee, and the guy selling the coffee gave me a free coffee and asked to marry me. It wasn't quite what I wanted, but it was great. But I'm going to show you a slide of my sister and her vision board. Oh, sorry. Before I do that, this is Janine Cummings, a wonderful lady. She was actually writing a book called Everything, amazing book. She hadn't finished it. And as an author, I actually went on to work with her one-to-one and coached her through the publishing process. And her book is now out. But she also did the 7 Steps workshop and designed her front cover, stuck it on her vision board, presented it. You can see her there, sat down with the vision board on her lap. And then literally that was in May. And then in August, her book came out and it looked exactly as what she'd done on her vision board. I'm so proud of her. She's amazing and really good to mentor. So yeah, brilliant. This is me and my sister, or my sister and I. In the middle is her vision board. She's also written some affirmations on there as well. I have an abundance of resources to do what I can't read this. To do what I want and time with people I love, I take care of myself. She has an image there you'll see on the right hand side at the top and also in the middle of the picture. And she found it in a magazine and she wanted to go on a retreat and work on a retreat. And she imagined wooden decking and, you know, the great outdoors, mountains. Literally 6 months later, she found herself in, where was it? I think it was Tuscany. That was it. This is a couple of months ago. And it looks almost identical to the image she put on her vision board. And she sent me that not too long ago. And she is just amazing at this. So, yeah. Hopefully she'll pop into the vision board aspect and give you a bit of her magical energy. Okay, so my last step is love, live, laugh. And I live by this. Life can be really serious sometimes. I think it's really important to remember we're here for a temporary time. Let's just enjoy ourselves. That's what it's about. I'm just going to read a little section here. The exercise here is to write down 5 things that make you happy. Sometimes we forget. We forget to smile. We forget to smile at others. We forget to live. We forget to love, and we forget to laugh. So I'm just going to read this section from the book while you think about 5 things that make you happy. So what I've come to realize is that life is really short. It can be taken away from us without a moment's notice, and suddenly not getting that job, being cheated on, or that argument with the ex becomes null and void. We think that we will live forever and that we're invincible, that our lives and what happens in them is so important. When this is all taken away or threatened, we realize that very few things are important. When I die, I want God to ask me, did you live enough? Did you love enough? Did you allow enough love in? Did you learn to forgive? Did you laugh enough? Did you have fun? For these are the basis of every bit of positivity we can create within our lives. Passing a bit of love onto another, even a stranger, can make their day. It can determine whether they take their lives that evening or tell someone they love them. It can determine whether they scream at their employees or bring cookies in to raise morale. We underestimate the power of a smile. So step 7 is love, live, laugh. Okay, just a quick recap is, so the 7 steps, values. If you take away anything from this, is just remember that this quick recap here. So values, are you upholding these yourself? Yes, identify them. Yes, establish them. Yes, know them. But are you upholding these yourself in all aspects of your life? Align yourself with people and situations that reflect these values. I want to read that again because I think this one's really important. Align yourself with people and situations that reflect these values. Read your needs, wants, and desires every morning. Remember to ask for what you need, want, and desire. Vocalize your intentions daily. Imagine the feeling of receiving what you've asked for. Demonstrate nightly gratitude. Forgive those who have hurt you. Forgive yourself. Visualize your intentions. And most importantly, have fun. Okay. Just for you, I hope you've enjoyed these 7 steps. It's obviously a very condensed version of what we do. So I want to talk to you about the workshop just for the last little bit here and give you a bit of an offer for you for attending this webinar today, which I really appreciate, taking time out of your day, out of your evening to attend this webinar. Okay, so just for you. Okay, so we've got 7 steps to creating the greatest version of you group workshop. You've seen the images, you've had a taster of what it is. It is £37 and that's for 3 hours. It's on Saturday the 10th of October between 10 and 1:15. That's the actual 7 steps to creating the greatest version of you workshop. It is £37. It will be £37 to those not doing the webinar, but a special offer for you today would be £30. I'll give you the link to click on or to write down on the next slide. That offer runs up until Thursday midday, I think. So that's £30 instead of £37. If you want to do the 7 steps to creating the greatest version of you group workshop, that's with the yoga with my sister. It's £42, but for those who have done the webinar today, if you're online, that's £37. I also do a 12-week coaching program, exclusive one-to-one coaching program. So that will be with me. This is basically working with me for 12 weeks. You'll get a free 1-hour consultation. So I'll speak to you on the phone and we can work out whether we can work together, what your needs are, whether I can, whether we want to work together, whether we're compatible. This will include an hour fortnightly phone calls with me. You'll be given specific tasks and exercises to complete. So we're going, not only will we be going through the 7 steps and the actual workbook in detail, but we'll be looking at specific tasks tailored towards you and you know what your need is. You also get email support throughout the 12 weeks at any time, and that normally is £397, and that for those doing the webinar today, £247. If you're interested in that, do just send me an email. It's on the next slide. It's info@daniellableckner.com. That's just to get your interest, first of all, and see what your needs are, what it is that you want to work on, and whether we can work together, first of all. So it's not a pay now, that's a let's talk. Info@daniellableckner.com. If you book 2 places on the 7 Steps to Creating the Greatest Version of You workshop, you will get a free lifestyle and holistic fitness call with my sister, Francesca Bleckner, who looks at all aspects of health. So it can be physical, nutritional, all aspects in regards to health. That's if you book 2 places, you get a free lifestyle and holistic fitness call with my sister. Okay, so on the next slide is me. How to get in touch with me. If you're interested in doing the 7 Steps workshop, again, which is on Saturday, the 10th of October, do register. The website is tinyurl.com/greatestme, and that's to get those special deals with the money off. The deadline is Thursday, 12 p.m. So again, just click on tinyurl.com. If you can write this down, so you just have it there, it just makes it easy. So it's tinyurl.com/greatestme. Deadline is Thursday, 12 p.m. I think we have Simone still online. She's actually done the 7 Steps webinar. She had a testimonial on earlier on in the slide. So if Simone, you want to just if you want to ask Simone how she found it, that's fine. No pressure, Simone, sorry. Again, if you're interested in any of the coaching, the 12-week coaching program, just email me at info@daniellableckner.com. There's a little bit of time now. What I'm going to do is to come out of this slide and see if there's any questions, anything you want to ask me. The website is up on the slide. You've got my email. So if you've got any queries and I don't manage to catch you in the chat room, or if you don't want to ask in the chat room, please do drop me an email. I am around, I am available, and I'm willing to answer any questions. I really do hope you've enjoyed this webinar. Technical faults at the beginning, but we got there, and I really enjoyed doing this. And it's lovely to see you all here attending. I'm going to just go to the chat room for a second and just see if there's anyone asking any questions. But before I do that, I just want to say thank you very much.